my power!
I got to refresh. Oh, so I have the Edmonton Oilers at number 5. This is a team, I know they didn't really tinker too much with their roster in the offseason. They signed Connor Brown, who was, a little bit of a reclamation project coming off an injury last year. They hope that maybe he can catch fire. Other than that, I mean, they didn't really make many changes to their roster. I think they're relying on the progression of Evan Bouchard taking the next step. Had a fabulous year last year. Nugent Hopkins, I don't think he gets the 100-point mark again, but he certainly is a big piece to the pie. However, we all know who they're carried by. It's Draisaitl and McDavid. These two guys are, for my money, the two best players in the world. And they're just going to do their thing. They're going to have over 100 points. They're, like I said, they're going to really make the Oilers go throughout the year. And I think that's enough for them to basically finish at the top of the Pacific, where they were last year, close to it. And as long as they can get good goaltending, which for a rookie, Stuart Skinner actually had a pretty good year. I think he's certainly the guy over Jack Campbell. I really don't trust him. But yes, the roster's a little bit flawed, but I think when you have those two guys and they're determined, they're hungry, they want to take the next step, I think for me, they're the number 5th best team right now in my eyes. So number 4, I have the Toronto Maple Leafs, the team that kind of consistently fails everybody year after year. But this is a team, though, I like what they did in the offseason. They added Tyler Bertuzzi and Max Domi. 2 hard-nosed players that could also obviously score as well. I like how they did that, 2 guys, because for the longest time they've really lacked, grit that could score. And now these 2 guys are gritty. They're not afraid to mix it up, and they produce points. So I think for them that's big. Adds a little bit of an element to their game. Ryan O'Reilly left, I know that, but he wasn't there for that long of a time, so I don't really think he's like a huge loss. So I think, with Domi and Bertuzzi coming in, that's a win there. And then, of course, you have their core 4, Tavares, Matthews, Marner, Nylander. Similar to in Edmonton, Draisaitl and McDavid, those guys are going to carry the weight. At least during the regular season, I think this is the year that they're going to be the class of that division. We all saw what happened with Vasilevsky. Boston, I think, is going to take a step back or two. So I think Toronto is going to honestly cruise. Yeah, I think Toronto's going to cruise to a division title here in the Atlantic. And again, I like the overall depth what they did with their team this summer. So I don't think they're going to go all the way and win it, but I think they're a legitimate contender. Unfortunately, that pains me to say that. Obviously, as you know, Colorado Avalanche. I like the sneaky good signing they had late in the season with Tomas Tatar. I think that was much needed scoring depth. And again, Nathan McKinnon, Mika Rantanen, Cale Makar, Devon Taves, these are all world-class players. Darcy Kemper, he had okay last year in Colorado. For the most part, though, again, this is another team that's relatively the same. They didn't tinker with their roster too much. Yes, they traded Alex Newhook, who's underachieving a little bit. But again, their team right now, last year we saw how they started off a little slow. I think they're going to try to come out of the gate faster here. And again, I think this is another situation, where you have Nathan McKinnon got kind of like a taste of what it's like to win. And this guy's an ultra competitor, is a health freak. I think he wants to be the best player in the league, the best player in the Western Conference. And I think he's going to drive them to getting back to the Stanley Cup Finals, or at least close to it.
Number 2, you have the team that finished ahead of them.
Yes, the Vegas Golden Knights. And this seems to be a theme here. Again, a team that hasn't done really a whole lot with their roster. They traded Riley Smith, yes. They have basically the same cast and crew coming back. My only question with the Vegas Golden Knights, and it's honestly the reason why I didn't really have them at 1, is when you look at their goaltending situation. Aiden Hill, you could say, was a little bit of like a Cinderella story there. Before he won the Cup, he was basically a journeyman, kind of bounced around a little bit. San Jose, a couple other teams. Is he going to keep that level of play up to provide the Golden Knights with the kind of goaltending that he did in the playoffs? I don't know. Logan Thompson's going to be coming back. He was hurt last year. He's a promising young player. He's going to be in the fight there to carry the load. So a little bit of a question mark there on goaltending. But I like their defense. I like their depth. I love Mark Stone. I mean, the guy scores and does everything else you ask him to in other areas of the ice. Barbashev was a great ad. They re-signed him. I like that a lot for them. And for me, it's about some of the younger players. Is Brendan Brisson going to come up and add a little bit of scoring punch to their lineup? I think that's an element that they're going to be relying on because it's a team that, like most teams, contenders, they're really at the cap. So they need these kind of young players to come in and, assimilate with the team right away. But overall, though, I think, they have a real good chance of repeating for sure.
And lastly, number one, you have.
Yeah, the Hurricanes, this is no secret here. I mean, you've kind of been banging this drum since really, kind of like after the draft and when the offseason started to settle in. They're just, and it's mostly credit to, honestly, Rod Brind'Amour. I mean, I think when you look at their roster from top to bottom, you see some things there. We're like, okay, well, can they really go the distance? But Brind'Amour is such a good coach. He has them play that suffocating style of hockey that everyone identifies the Hurricanes with now. You hate playing against them. They don't give you much room. They're always on top of you. And as long as he's the coach and implementing these systems, they're going to be a successful team. And then also, of course, they do have really good players. I mean, Sebastian Aho is fabulous. Jacob Slavin's, one of, if not the best shutdown defenseman in the league. Brett Pesce, who you thought maybe was going to leave, he's still there. Very good defenseman. They added Dmitry Orlov, another great skater. Go figure, right? Great skater adding to that Hurricane system, the way they play. Teravainen and Svechnikov. They just got a good group of players. And there are teams that have definitely better forward groups. I mean, New Jersey off the top of my head. But just the way the Hurricanes play, how they defend, they're just really, really good team. It's hard to find like serious holes in their lineup. So, for me, I think my early prediction, they win the cup, but I've been wrong before.
I've been wrong a lot of times. It's called the rest of my life. Phil, we're going to go look at our picks as well on this. I want to go with what yours is. Both of us have the Golden Knights as number one. Anthony omitted the Dallas Stars completely. We're going to get into that one in a second. And I have the Devils on there. And Phil, you have the Oilers on instead. Phil, let me go with you. Why are the Vegas Golden Knights number one?
They're defending champs. Until somebody knocks them off, they're the team. That's what happens. And they didn't really lose anything. They didn't add, but they didn't lose. And when you have a winning culture, you have it in place. I mean, we've seen it. Like a lot of the times, these teams that win, they're very, very, very strong teams. Now, as the season unfolds, obviously we'll see what happens. But, I mean, look, Detroit 97 and 98, back-to-back champs. Pittsburgh 2016, 2017, back-to-back champs. Tampa Bay 2020, 2021, back-to-back champs. When you have that perfect balance and you're able to keep it and you're able to not lose pieces from it, it makes it a lot easier to win. And then I just don't get how you could leave Dallas off with that forward group. That forward group might be the best forward group in the NHL as we speak. They just added, and just think about the guys that they have already in Roope Hintz, Jason Robertson, Jamie Benn having a resurgent season. Tyler Seguin, I know, needs to come back, needs to play more like himself. You got guys like Mason Marchment, too. Joe Pavelski, who just doesn't seem to age for whatever reason. And then Wyatt Johnston, who had a great rookie year, was up for the Calder. And then you added to that Matt Duchene, Evgeny Dadonov, and Craig Smith. You added a guy that's like been a point-per-game player and Matt Duchene to that. You add Dadonov, who could give you anywhere from 50 to 70 points. And then you add Craig Smith on top of that, who could give you 40 to 50 points and 20-plus goals on top of that. So, to me, that forward group is great. If you want to look at their defense and say that their defense might be a problem, okay, I'll entertain that to a point. But now you got Miro Heiskanen, who's a Norris-level defenseman. I mean, he'll eventually win one. Thomas Harley looked pretty good down the stretch last year. Joel Hanley is a decent depth option. Ryan Suter, I know, is aging and declining. And Esa Lindell is going to give you solid minutes on your second pairing. But, if you want to say they could use another legitimate top four defenseman or top two, okay, I'll entertain that. But they still have one of the best goalies in the league in Jake Ottinger. top 5 to 10 goalie in the league, in my opinion. But I mean, if you're talking about, I hope you're not talking about Dallas here. I'd assume this is probably about Carolina, which
maybe even New Jersey.
But
New Jersey
even
definitely applies to it.
Even
Toronto
that
applies to as well.
Even that's wrong though. I mean, Aiden Hill won the cup. He's an average goalie. Darcy Kemper won the cup, average goalie. So what he's saying here is
Matt
good.
Murray.
The proof there is the total opposite of what he's saying. I don't know who it's about, what team specifically.
I'm assuming
the
Rod is a hoax.
Rod is a hoax.
It's about Carolina. But
I think what he's getting at with Rod Brindamore, guys, is that he's just not able to get the job done, or hasn't been able to
playoffs. Yeah, he's gotten out coached by Gallant. He's gotten out coached by Paul Maurice. Funny enough, former Carolina coach.
Former his coach.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy to think about too. So, I mean, maybe that's why Maurice had the edge on him, because Maurice knows a lot about Brindamore. But I gotta say, Dallas to me is just as good as almost any team in the league, and I think they're going to add a defenseman come the deadline, and that team is just going to be absolutely deadly when they add that defenseman.
My only question mark with Dallas was that you have a couple like Ben for a couple of years was not the Jamie Benn we know. He was downright bad last year. He rebounded. Similar case with Sagan. So it's not a guarantee you're going to get. You don't know which one versions of those guys you're going to get.
You don't have to with Duchesne.
What?
When you added Duchesne, you don't have to. And you added Craig Smith on top of that. And you added Dodonov. So the depth is there. And that's what it comes down to.
I get what you're saying, both of you guys, on that. Because, and of course, Pete DeBoer, I always get on Pete DeBoer's case, years 3 and 4. Not in year 2. They're going to be totally bought in, and he's going to push a lot of the right buttons. Can he get them to a Stanley Cup final? That's what one of the questions are we're going to have to ask. Going to address this one right here from Dave, who's saying, Mark, how do you have New Jersey over the New York Rangers? Not trying to be a homer, but New Jersey goaltending leaves a lot to be desired. Yes, they put up great numbers. In a 7-game series and in the postseason, they're not very good. We've gone over that. Right now, I would probably have the Rangers in the 5 to 10 area. I didn't rank them. If I said the Rangers were at 9 right now, it's not even trying to be a homer. It's just I think the Rangers aren't as impressive right now as what they could be at the end if things break right. But also, as Johnny Red saying, right now you got Bissonnette and even empty netters ripping on the Rangers and the Islanders right now. More on that in the bar talk in a moment. Were there any teams you guys can't believe that we got in our top 5 really quick?
Teams
yeah, like anyone that Anthony has, anyone that I have. Like, how do I put in New Jersey? Is that what you're wondering? Or
I mean, I could see why you would put New Jersey in there. I don't necessarily agree with it, just because I don't think that they're a team that gets it done when it comes down to it. I think come playoff time, their goaltending is just going to crap out on them again because it's just not good. So,
I'm concerned about their goaltending and the fact that they might have 2 rookie defensemen in the lineup. Anthony?
No, honestly, I like the Devils a lot. I mean, their group of forwards are young, fast. They play with a lot of speed. And again, the goaltending, I know we're blessed because we have 2 of the best goaltenders in the league, and during the regular season, having a goaltender like that's important. But as I was just saying, like some of the goalies that have won cups the last couple of years, I don't really think it's a huge issue if the Devils goalies are Vanacek and Schmid.
The Devils aren't the Colorado Avalanche or the Tampa Bay Lightning, though.
No, they're not. But I mean, I think Vanacek is average. I mean, I wouldn't say he's bad. He's not outstanding. I would say he's average. And Schmid is a young goalie, so I really don't want to try to label him yet. I want to see what he does this year, but you never know. I mean, maybe Schmid develops, takes the next step.
14 games in a row again.
Yeah, I mean that might be true, but I think regardless, no matter how you slice it, the Devils are a very good team, and unless something, went seriously wrong, I think they're going to make the playoffs for sure. I'm
This is a good
I'm
point,
confident
though,
in.
here. They play a faster game. They really do. The Rangers did not play a fast game under Gerard Gallant.
And they're trying to under Peter
We
Laviolette.
saw that last night.
Please like and subscribe to our channel. We have a lot of great hockey content and an entertaining interactive podcast. So check us out and our library of videos.
Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.